Welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of March 6, 2017. In some parts of the country, the leaves are beginning to return to the trees. There's sight of green everywhere, and of course in other parts of the country it's still a little bit cold, a little bit dismal, but unfortunately there are also parts of the country where it should have snowed an awful lot more than it did, and you're dealing with a drought situation, many of you for the first time in your lives. Putting all of that aside for a moment, the subject of this week's podcast is Love the One You're With. And of course, this is a reference to the old song, and I cannot repeat any more of it or even hum it because it's copyrighted and all that stuff. But you know what I'm talking about. And why am I saying love the one you're with? Well, this is going to be a little bit weird podcast because, folks, in addition to being a salesperson for solidsignal.com, I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for people making the best of their home theater setups. And if you want to try out antenna TV, maybe you should take a look on the roof before you buy yourself a new one. You know, if you live in a home that was built before 1980 especially, there could be a perfectly good antenna up on that roof that somebody spent an awful lot of money on. Truth is, antennas were made pretty well in the good old days. They still are if you buy a Televez antenna anyway. But antennas go up there, and a lot of times they can stay up there for 50, 60 years doing their job. And if you're getting a good signal from an antenna up there, you may not need anything else. The antenna may need to be just re-aimed slightly, or you may want to convert up to coaxial cable instead of that flat twin lead cable they used back in the 60s and 70s. But honestly, it's very possible that there is absolutely nothing wrong with the antenna that you have. You just may not be using it. You may not have thought about it. It's just sitting up there and, well, maybe you'd think it's a little ugly or whatever. But before you go out and buy yourself a brand new antenna, I want you to take a look at the antenna that you have. Hook it up to a TV. You may need a couple of extra little pieces of cable or something called a matching transformer that converts that twin lead cable into the coaxial that we use now. That was a big kind of change in the 80s when we all started using coaxial cable. It got a lot cheaper than it had been in the past, and it's always a lot better than that twin lead cable when it comes to loss. Because I'll tell you something that I've always believed, and that's if I help you save money in one area, maybe you're going to trust me the next time I tell you to spend money in another area. So don't rush out to buy an antenna until you're sure that the antenna that you have is no good. Now, if you do get up there and you find it's ugly or it's beaten up or the thing just doesn't work, even some of the pieces that it's attaching it could still be good. You could have a perfectly good chimney mount. I mean, those things are usually made out of steel and they're designed to last forever. And today's new antennas go on yesterday's mounts perfectly. There's no problem with them. Taking one antenna off and putting one antenna on is a super easy solution, and you don't have to go back through anything else. I'll just warn you that back in the 60s and 70s, people weren't as keen on grounding as they are now. And if you don't see a green sheathed ground wire coming from that antenna and going to a water pipe or to your breaker box or something like that, you need to be grounding that thing right now, especially if you're already up there. Why not take that couple of minutes and get grounding done? Because you see, the world of antenna TV is an amazing one. I just learned last week about 3 new channels that are launching nationwide. I mean, there is so much stuff. Matter of fact, if you happen to be in the New York or Los Angeles areas, you have over 100 free channels available to you. I'm not going to say you're going to love all of them. You probably don't love the 100 channels of satellite or cable that you have now, just maybe 10 or 12 of them. But 100 channels of live TV, including all 10 of the top-rated programs every single year throughout recorded history, all available to you for absolutely free if you have an antenna up on the roof and all you have to do is hook up that cable. Think about that for a second, because I would love to be able to save you all the heartache, all the hardship, and especially all the money that you pay the cable company, $1,200 a year for television, that maybe you're not getting the most out of it. Maybe just by switching to an antenna, you'll be able to free up $1,200 a year and move that money into something that you like more. Now, if you happen to be happy with your cable or satellite subscription, I got to say more power to you, and it's probably worth that $1,200 a year. But if you're dreading looking at that bill every single month, there is an alternative. Save some money, get up on that roof, take a look at the antenna you've got, and most of all, love the one you're with.